Welcome to Stellar Reflections, the space where astrology meets real life. I'm Georgina Sierra, here to explore the cycles, crossroads, and inner seasons that shape who we become. Whether you're stepping into adulthood, navigating midlife, or entering a new chapter of wisdom, you'll find insights, stories, and cosmic guidance to help you understand your path. This is a place for all people, all identities, and all phases of life. So no matter where you are on your journey, you're welcome in this space. Welcome back. I am so excited today to talk about Pallas Athena. If you can have a girl crush on an asteroid, I think that's my girl crush. I absolutely love Pallas Athena. She's conjunct my sun. She is such an intriguing asteroid. I mean, I've spoken about Vesta, Ceres, Juno, someone else missing. Oh, Persephone. Sorry. Oh, she's not going to like that. I've spoken about those asteroids, and they're the main ones, and many astrologers would say, oh my goodness, if you had to put all of the asteroids into a chart, it'll be just this black mess. When you're working with asteroids in astrology as an astrologer, you select the ones that resonate the most with you. For me, these are the ones that resonate the most with me, and especially Pallas Athena. She is so cool. She overall, I would say, embodies so much wisdom. And if I had to give a modern day equivalent, I would say she's like Michael Corleone in Godfather. And you're like, why would you use a man? Bear with me. There's a reason for that. Pallas Athena, we have to go back into mythology to understand her. She is the goddess of wisdom and justice and protectress of the state. 6,000 years ago, let's go that far back. In Libya, a goddess was born on the shores of Lake Triton among the African Amazons, and she was known as Goddess Neith. Being in that culture, if we fast forward another 2,000 years, Libyan refugees brought this goddess to Crete during the first Minoan age. And she came about in Greek mythology to be born out of her father's head. Now, Zeus, like his father Kronos, decided to eat his children because they're both narcissists, and they didn't want anyone else to be in charge. They just wanted to be forever in charge. And while all the other kids came out of their father's stomach, she was like, nah, for eating me, I'm coming out of your head. So she was born out of his head, so to speak. But I'm taking a pun there. And she grew as a warrior queen. She is known to have a triple moon emanation of this goddess Neith from Libya. So she has three sides to her. Just like we have three chapters of our lives that are brought in by our Saturn return cycles, you have the maiden, which is Pallas, the mother, which is Athena, and the crone, known also as Medusa. And her symbols are that of the owl, which is knowledge, serpent, which symbolizes wisdom, and the olive tree, which symbolizes peace. Now, why is the maiden known as Pallas? Pallas was, I think, her sister or a very good friend, and she accidentally killed her through being deceived, and she took on that name. And this is when they were very young. She also became the mother, an adoptive mother, of the first king of Athens. So she's taken on that as well. And Medusa, that knowledge, that deep knowledge that comes from a very long and hard life. Astronomically, Pallas Athena was discovered in 1802 after the asteroid Ceres, and she has a similar mineral composition. She's less hydrated, and a fascinating fact, I love bringing science and astronomy and astrology together. 2 months after this asteroid was discovered, a metal was discovered with the atomic number 46 and was named after this asteroid as palladium. Palladium is in the transition metals of the periodic table in line with nickel and platinum. How cool. Love this stuff. So her symbol is that of a scepter, and she's very intelligent. She's very creative and just. As I've said before, asteroids have blended energies, not just their own energies. And she has the blended energies of Uranus and Venus, as well as the creative impulse of Leo, the transpersonal social importance of Aquarius, and the balance and cohesion of Libra. Her polarities are courage versus fear. And she's very creative, very wise, and very strategic. She can show how intelligent someone is, how they perceive things. If you look in your birth chart, the sign that she's in is unique to each sign and can bring the type of wisdom a person exudes, how they understand or their knowledge of laws and manifesting them. She is the goddess of justice and protectress of the state, and she rules over political activism, but she doesn't go in with guns blazing and swords out like She-Ra. But she's the person or the goddess or has the energy of sitting quite quietly and observing and strategically attacking. Hence, Michael Corleone. If you haven't seen The Godfather, you got to watch The Godfather. It's really good. I mean, if you want to understand men or business or how people can be manipulative or how they do things and just the psyche and the different personalities, great movie. But I digress. Pallas Athena is also the patroness of artisans, so she shows how we appreciate the arts. And she has an aspect to the asteroid Hygeia, so she does signify and have really cool healing powers. Now, because she was born out of her father's head, she has come to symbolize masculine femininity and feminine masculinity. I call her the non-binary asteroid, the non-binary goddess, because she encompasses everyone and everything and how you identify. She goes beyond gender stereotypes. Think of Julia Andrews in the movie Victor Victoria. If you haven't seen it, great movie to see. Pretty much, Victoria wants to make it in the entertainment business, but cannot, and she has to appear as a man. She ends up falling in love with a man, and the guy's going, oh my God, I think I'm falling for her, but she's a man, but I'm straight. Oh my God, what's happening? So when it comes to gender bending and stuff like that, great movie. But let's look more into these gender stereotypes that she explores. If you identify as female, she's about using your brains and having self-confidence in yourself and not having to exude or practice brute strength to show your strength, just being confident in yourself. She chooses intellect over sexuality to achieve goals. If you betray your Pallas Athena, you will find yourself dumbing down, being scared or fearful of the glass ceiling, thinking, yeah, there is a price for success. I have to sacrifice all these things, and falling victim to the tall poppy syndrome. The way I see Pallas Athena, and I found this interesting in finding the right person for me, identifying as cis hetero, I wanted a man who was strong enough, who could stand by me, because I'm actually quite strong myself, but I can't always stand on my own. Sometimes you need someone to lean on, but someone who's man enough to take how strong I am and is not intimidated by me. I would never dumb myself down. I love bursting through the glass ceiling. Is there a price for success? That's taken me a few decades to understand. I think there's a balance. You need to achieve a balance for that, but I don't think you need to pay a price. And I refuse to be cut down. Think of it this way. You're playing a basketball game, let's say, and you are kicking this guy's ass. If he respects you and appreciates you and is like, damn girl, that's hot. You're winning, and doesn't feel intimidated. Big plus for me. Yes, my husband is like that. He loves someone who achieves things, who's the boss. He doesn't want the secretary. He wants the boss, and does not feel intimidated by his own masculinity in that sense. That's Pallas Athena in a very healthy way. And having said that, if you identify as male, sure, you might be this guy that goes to the gym and is like jacked up and everything. You don't have to be. I'm just trying to exaggerate something here. You're very masculine, but you have a creative and healing and artistic understanding of life. You're someone who can go into a lingerie shop and say, my wife's bra size is, say, 12D. I want that color, I want that color, and not fear being seen by other men because you're buying lingerie for your other half. You're proud of it. You're like, yeah, I'm a man and I can do this. But you've got that feminine side. You can see, you can appreciate art. And this goes beyond how you identify. Even though I say as if you identify as male, but not feeling intimidated by exploring the opposite polarity of who you identify as and embracing that as a whole. So if you betray your Pallas Athena, if you identify as male, you could feel uncomfortable with this as it works against your primal masculine instincts. You'll be like, I'm not going to buy that bag for a woman. They're going to think I'm a sissy or something. No. If you're honoring your Pallas Athena, you're going in there going, I'm proud to choose that for my woman. I know it sounds horrible for me saying that. Apologies. I'm exaggerating, but the point is, if you identify as male and go into these feminine archetypes or things or shops and buy something and be proud of your woman and you buy this gift for her and you're not scared to go into a shop and buy it, you're really honoring your Pallas Athena. You've embraced your masculine and feminine energies and they're more balanced. And you feel more secure with your yin energy and you are unthreatened by an intelligent female. Actually, you probably thrive. You love having those conversations. You love her beating you in an argument. You're probably turned on by it too. But what about if you identify as non-binary? There's nothing out there about it. But what I think personally is that you have a wonderfully balanced mix of the masculine and feminine energies. We are in a binary universe. There's black, white, male, female, blah, 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 blah. But in this century, we're seeing a deeper layer going, hang on, there is also the non-binary energy. I see it like an atom. You have your electrons and your protons. You have the positive and negative energies. The protons are positive and they're in the nucleus of the atom, and you have the electrons going around this nucleus. There is an imbalance of energy there, positive and negative. So the universe has evolved with providing something called neutrons. They neutralize, they're quite heavy, they're in the nucleus of an atom, and they neutralize that energy, whether it's slightly more positive or slightly more negative, and the atoms are balanced. That is how I see the non-binary energy. What a fantastic analogy. Don't you think? I think so. But I am very open to interpretations and suggestions of non-binary energy and Pallas Athena. I would really love to have that conversation because I'm a bit ignorant, so to speak, and it's new, and I love having conversations like that. Now, in relationships, she really symbolizes father-daughter or a providing parent and child connection, and how this father or father figure or providing parent is viewed can flavor the perception of males in adulthood or providing adults or a more senior traditionally, and I'm doing the inverted commas in the air that you can't see it, roles. She can indicate how you may treat people in senior positions or get treated by males or those who identify as males in general. And it does include women who take a warrior image too far and can be violent toward men, or, on the opposite, fearful of men and victims of abusive relationships. And it's that father-daughter traditionally symbolism that comes from Zeus and Pallas Athena. And she's brought through the transition between the matriarchy to the patriarchy, unfortunately. You're like, gosh, why do you like her so much? Well, because as the asteroids have come into astrology and feminism has grown and the divine feminine, the goddesses have grown and we're finding our power again, she is showing us how we can be our true selves unapologetically and not rudely. She shows us the difference between authenticity and defensiveness. Pallas Athena, when she was like a high court judge. So when she was asked to rule and decide when there were differences, she would sit there quietly. She wouldn't be screaming at the opposition like Michael Corleone. He'd be sitting there quietly observing. You think, what, this guy doesn't talk or anything? He schemed and took out his enemies of the 5 families in the first movie. Spoiler alert, but I won't tell you when. Very strategically. Key word, strategy. And that's what she does. Pallas Athena shows us how to strategize, to not go in with guns blazing, but to use a calm, assertive voice and find a diplomatic resolution. So when it comes to being yourself, you be yourself without being abrasive. It's about finding a congruence between your inner truth and outward expression. If you find that you have to scream to show who you are, to be yourself, you're not being heard, there's an imbalance there. It requires some work to go back and see why. Why am I struggling to live authentically? Could it be social conditioning? Any cultural expectations or, from where your family comes from? It could be something cultural. You might fear judgment or being compared or, and a very Libran thing, which is part of Pallas Athena, people-pleasing. And these come how you've been shaped from your childhood to your midlife. In midlife, there's a great unmasking. So as we go through our midlife transits, we pushed to shed our personas and step into our core truth. And there is a shift from the external validation to the internal alignment that we have with ourselves. We see we don't have to act a certain way. We don't have to do anything we don't want to do or anything that is not authentic or truthful to our true core of ourselves. And Pallas Athena shows us you don't have to go in with guns blazing. You have to go in with strategy and assertiveness. It is a time where we set boundaries without hostility. Again, it's assertiveness versus aggression. There's a difference. Clarity versus bluntness. Or self-honoring versus self-centeredness. There may be things that you're doing for yourself. And even as parents, you'd be like, oh, people will think I'm a bit selfish. But what if it's about honoring yourself and you're not being selfish because you haven't honored yourself at all? Pallas Athena shows us how we can communicate our needs firmly but kindly. And it comes in our relationships where we're more authentic and we can strengthen the connections with our loved ones. Or if you're single, you can attract people who are aligned to your energy and your truth. But it can also lead to necessary endings, especially in midlife. It'll allow you to navigate the discomfort of being seen, where they finally see who you truly are. And you'll see that you need to be in relationships where you can be your honest self. As I say, if you can't fight in front of your partner, why are you with them? If you can't wake up with them without makeup on, why are you with them? You need to be comfortable. You need to be true to yourself. They need to be able to see you with warts and all and still honor who you are. Now, Pallas Athena is very much, as I said, with wisdom and intelligence and knowledge, but she also plays a role in your emotional intelligence of being yourself. And you need to be self-aware, empathetic, and have some self-regulation as well. A little bit of control, but to tap into your energies, being aware of how you speak your truth and staying grounded and respectful for yourself and for others. And she's a truth teller. She really is. Now, the shadow side is that authenticity can be misused, where you're like, I'm going to be truthful and I'm going to share everything, but you overshare. No. That's silly, for want of a better word, because it all comes to strategy as well. You don't want to overshare. You don't need to share everything about yourself either. You need to be selective. You need to be careful that you're not abrupt, and using that abruptness masters honesty. That is a very key thing in midlife, where people think, no, I'm going to have enough. I've had enough of this. Actually, this happened to me. There was a woman in midlife. I was in my 20s at the time. And I was at a conference, lovely colleague, someone I'd met at the conference. And something happened and she snapped. And by snap, her personality just changed completely. And she was like, I don't know why I have to be nice to everyone. I don't know why I have to do this and this and this and that. And she was very rude. And I think she probably felt in herself, I've had enough. That's true. But this abruptness that is considered as honesty, even though it was actually quite disrespectful. Pallas Athena reminds us that wisdom does temper raw expression. She also shows us, okay, yes, you can do this, but watch out for this shadow side. You have to be respectful. Like Michael Corleone, that's the key thing. Don't disrespect me. Honor our friendship, honor our relationship. And you're like, why are you using The Godfather as an example? It is. Watch the movie. I would say he's like Pallas Athena, embodied, but in a masculine way. Maybe a bit too masculine in sort of things, with the times and everything that, where it was filmed and where it's set. But his strategy is very Pallas Athena. Pallas Athena allows us to embody our truth in everyday life. You could do rituals, journaling prompts, have reflective questions, or simple daily actions that will help you practice authenticity in small, sustainable ways. I think you also need to sit with yourself and see, how can I be truly authentic without disrespecting myself or disrespecting anyone else? And we just are as we are. Before I finish, I'll go through Pallas Athena in every sign, just quickly. If you have Pallas Athena in Aries, you like to activate and initiate, like brainstorming. You might be a militant warrior, but you do fight for what you believe in and learn how to tame that without going too gung-ho in like a ram, head first. You experience healing through homeopathy or acupuncture, and your creativity comes through sport or kinetic art. If you have Pallas Athena in Taurus, you see the world through the physical senses. Your wisdom is common sense. It's earthy solutions. If someone comes to you and says, my computer doesn't work, you'll be the one that says, well, did you turn it on? That earthy. Politically, you would fight for the earth, like land and ecology, and heal through your hands. Creatively, music, art, and landscaping are more your thing. If you have Pallas Athena in Gemini, it's really about perception, the written and spoken language. Wisdom comes from just this inner knowing, this claircognizance. Politically, you would be the debater, the political writer, where the inner truth is translated to language. When it comes to healing, speech therapy or neurolinguistic programming would be more your thing. And creatively, poetry or storytelling would be more your energy. If your Pallas Athena is in Cancer, it's pretty much perceiving, and your wisdom and perception comes through your emotions and having like these hypersensitive antennae. And you're really much a patriot and a defender of the home. You love being comfortable at home and creating comfortable environments. And that's what your creativity is, maybe interior design. If your Pallas Athena is in Leo, it's about showing your unique vision to the world and creating new forms of expression. You could be like this actor or performer that loves, dance and doing all these unique performances and bringing an art to how you deliver your, unique vision to the world. And you would probably politically be standing in the public eye for what you believe in. If you have Pallas Athena in Virgo, you're a bit more analytical. You have an innate ability to separate the wheat from the chaff. You have high standards politically. You're not just going to vote for anyone. And when it comes to healing, exercise, nutrition's quite important, and hatha yoga is really good for you. And you probably find that pottery or woodworking or sewing is like a nice creative outlet. If you have Pallas Athena in Libra, it's all about balance and harmonizing polarities. Politically, you're like, why can't everyone get along? I agree. So you'd probably be an avid defender of justice and mediator. You could be a diplomat or a lawyer. And your healing would be through counseling and energy balancing. You really need balance. Creatively, design and fashion, honey. You'll love design and fashion. If you have Pallas Athena in Scorpio, it's about seeing things below the surface, like X-ray vision, seeing things that others cannot see. And you have the wisdom to penetrate to the core of things. And you'd probably be a spy, to be honest. It's all about strategy and seeing things. Maybe Michael Corleone had Pallas Athena in Scorpio, but seeing things that other people don't see and knowing how to, it's like manipulating chess pieces on a chessboard. You can see the roots of the problem. If it came to healing, using psychology or past life regression or hypnotherapy would be for you. And creatively going through symbolic art. And as you can see with Pallas Athena, we're going through her key things of wisdom, politics, healing, how she thinks, and creativity to see how she's expressed in each sign. If you have Pallas Athena in Sagittarius, it's about seeing the bigger picture. You can really see the bigger picture and defending truth, seeing, how the little parts go into the whole of what we're seeing. When it comes to healing, whole body vibrations or going to see a shaman or guru or even being one would be your thing. And creatively being able to emphasize cultural qualities and applying them universally, like tarot. You'd be the one that would go, I'm not going to buy a tarot deck, I'm going to make one. If you have Pallas Athena in Capricorn, her possession's about foundations and putting things in proper sequence to see how things work. Probably a defender of law and order. The healing for you would be chiropractor, dentistry, or deep tissue massage, getting to the core of things. And creatively, through architecture, either being one or having an appreciation for it, like drafting and sculpting. If you have Pallas Athena in Aquarius, it's about seeing the future and the possibilities out there. Politically, you'd be the revolutionary. Healing with crystals and color therapy, and you'd be someone who would, go into science fiction or enjoy that science fiction and get into computer graphics. And finally, if you have Pallas Athena in Pisces, it's about seeing between reality and the other side. Wisdom comes through compassion, and politically, you could be the martyr, but really much being the one for nonviolent resistance. Your healing comes through faith and psychic abilities, and your creative outlet would probably be through poetry or photography or illusions, so very 12th house. In summary, Pallas Athena adds this extra, as all the other asteroids, this extra flavor of astrological delineation. It's like making a spaghetti bolognese with and without herbs. Have you added cumin to your sauce? Try it. So good. So good. Gives you that earthy flavor. And Pallas Athena is about creative wisdom and so much more. She's about strategy. She's about dignity. She's about keeping calm, not going in there gung-ho, as I've said many times right now in this episode, but taking your time to strategize things. And if you have transits with Pallas Athena in specific parts of your chart, she's telling you, where are you going to apply this strategy? Don't rush right in. get all your information, and assertively take that first step. Knowing where your Pallas Athena is in your chart can indicate how you can embrace your inner goddess and stand in your power. I hope this has been helpful today. I have opened this podcast to guest appearances, so just go through my website and send a pitch in if you are interested. I hope this has been helpful today. And in knowing your Pallas Athena, knowing what sign she's in, she can help you embrace your inner goddess, no matter how you identify, and in standing in your power. Thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye. Thank you for spending this time exploring the cosmos within and around us. I am grateful to share these reflections with you, and I hope they offered you a moment of insight, grounding, or reassurance. A special thank you to my producer, Jen Brown of JJ Boots Productions, for her care and support behind the scenes. Intro and outro music, Pulse Width by Tony Vodnik, licensed via Pixabay. If this episode resonated, feel free to share it with someone who may need it. You can find more of my work on my website, Instagram or Substack, where I offer astrology for every stage of life. Until next time, may your path be clear and your inner light steady.